I found out that the amazing actor Ahn Byo Hyun is in a new K drama called Spring Fever. And I'm currently rewatching Itaewon Class, and I Googled him and I said, oh my gosh, I need to watch this. And because 2026 is going to be my season of watching K dramas, C dramas, anime, because it's been a long time. I took 2025 as my break, and I told myself I would come back and watch more dramas. So I'm doing this for the first time ever and watching it in real time. So currently, Spring Fever has aired 2 episodes as of today, January 10th. I will be doing this weekly thing, updating. So at the end, I will give my full actual review on what I believe of this series, what I feel from my very first watch to when I finally finished it. First of all, I'm just going to do a quick recap of the episode 1 first and episode 2, give my thoughts and opinions. It's barely 2 episodes in. We don't know how it's going, so it's more of the feel of it. We have our 2 leads, which is the character Yoon Bom, and we're immediately introduced to her as this sulky, moody, I believe she is a high school teacher because the students are trying to work hard and study for their exams to go to the university. I have to say that they did a beautiful job of showing that it's a coastal town. It's away from a big city like Seoul. And when we're introduced to Yoonbon, she is told to be very gloomy, very introverted, and she hasn't talked at all to anyone. She just basically came here, did her job, and is not one to socialize with the staff or the students. She's just there to work and go home and not socialize with anyone. From the synopsis I got, it's going to be a romance K-drama. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about, I know it's a webtoon or maybe a book. I'm going into this blind. So I always love seeing how they introduce the male lead for this character, especially with the female lead being very moody and sulky. Well, let me tell you, this was an epic entrance. So we later find out that his name is Sung Jae-gyu, but we don't know this. We are only introduced by him, and it's in the most epic, like, jaw-dropping way because we love a man who comes and just shows off his strength and shows off that he is not to be messed with. And that's exactly what he does. He's walking in his stretchy workout shirt, his cargo pants, his army, it looks like army boots, and he's walking through the snowstorm to the high school, and all the staff are completely terrified of him. That's how we're introduced to him. I was like, I don't know if he has a backstory that is pretty scary. I don't know, but I'm loving him strutting his stuff without a care in the world. The actor has buffed up, and he looks like I would imagine a very athletic, very buff Korean man to look like. And it was a great introduction. I can see why they're all scared of him, but as a girly, that would just be very impressive to witness. And that's how our female lead is introduced to them. And they're all terrified of him. He comes in, apparently he's the uncle of one of the female lead's students, and it's her best student, her smartest student. And apparently one of the teachers there canceled an award that was going to be bestowed upon him because he has no parents. I guess the award it's supposed to be in conjunction with like his parents and him as being a really great student, not just for the school but for the community. But apparently this teacher thought he should be disqualified because he doesn't have any parents. Excuse me, he has his uncle, and from what he's proudly sticking up for his nephew, I believe that is very parental. So that's how we were introduced with him. And I just want to take a moment to say a couple of my favorite scenes. This was first favorite scene. My first favorite scene was, of course, him strutting in from the snowstorm. Great scene. Second scene, is where the director, so everyone ran away, not ran away, everyone's hiding. Everyone's hiding, and the director of the school is also hiding. And they finally like comes in, barges in, and demands to speak to the teacher or the director. They finally like drag him out of the closet, and he's like trying to calm him down. And he's like, let's have some coffee and talk this over. And he points out, the director just like says Miss Yoonbon's name. Miss Yoon, can you please make us some coffee? And the face that this man makes in disgust was, I also loved it. And his face is so disgusted. And he's like, grabs the director and he's like, do you tell all your female staff just to do things for you? I can do my own coffee. Thank you very much. And he like shoves him out of the way. We love a man who stands up for women and doesn't like them to be manhandled. The director should have just offered to make him coffee. But it's the little things from this K drama that I love to appreciate. And like I said, when I saw this, tell me why Sabrina Carpenter's tears like lyrics just popped into my head, and I wanted to make a whole bunch of fan edits using that line, because yes, be respectful of women gets you a lot of frowny points in my personal opinion. That happens. He stares at Miss Yoon for while he's making coffee, and you can tell that he either really like, they have this moment where they're just staring at each other. She's like terrified of him. He seems very intrigued and curious. It's a romance drama, so I took it as, oh, he finds her very sweet and attractive and cute because she's a new teacher. He's never seen her. In this whole ruckus thing, he broke the plant. So things to look out for. He broke a plant. Another thing that they highlight with all this is that one of the teachers tells Miss Yoon, our female lead, if she has any trouble with her key, she has a spare to let her know. That is like a scene that is highly emphasized, I want to say, in this K drama. Like, if they want you to notice key moments, they really show it in the episode. They highlight it a couple of times so that you can kind of figure out what's going to happen. So when the lady said that, I was like, okay, so she's going to be a friend for Miss Yoon because she has a spare key for her. So after this whole incident, we get a scene montage of our female lead, Miss Yoon, and she's just going about her day. She's still very sulky. She's still very moody. There's clips of her where she sees text messages from her father. She refuses to answer, and you see like they've been many text messages, and he keeps saying, I'm sorry if this happened. I'm sorry of my reaction. I'm sorry I said these things. Please answer the phone. I don't know where you are. So you get the sense that she ran away from Seoul. She ran away from her life. Something happens. I love that scene in the montage because it's showing how sad and how desperate she had to be to leave a place where you have a dad, you have a parent that they keep on reaching out and they love you and they keep reaching out, and she just needed to leave. Finally, the moment that really kind of just is the crack, like the snap of her like rubber band and frustration, is when she gets home and she tries to open her door. Her keys get stuck. Her key gets stuck. She tries to open it forcefully and she ends up breaking the key. In her frustration, okay, in her frustration, she walks to the dock area because she lives like right in front of the ocean, and in her frustration and her just overall like how she was feeling, she just throws it into the ocean in frustration. And I felt that. I felt like she was just so over her life, and that was the last straw. Well, now she can't get into her house. So what does she do? We have our coworker who has her spare key, and she's walking along the street and it's dark and it's a long, narrow street. And she's texting her and she's like, hi, I need the spare key. I'm coming over. Well, in her long, lonely walk, she suddenly sees someone coming towards her from the other side. She sees someone coming towards her. And it's just so funny. This is where I get business proposal vibes, because tell me why. He's walking forward, and then when she stops, he suddenly stops. He has, obviously we know who it is, but he has a hat on where you can't see his face. I'm thinking from a woman's perspective. You see this massive man, like bulky, athletic man. He's holding something that looks shiny, because it looks shiny from a distance. And he just looks very menacing. Of course, she's going to stop. And then so his response is to follow suit and stop. She starts to freak out and slowly walk back. He starts to move forward. And very much in a K-drama story, she turns around and just starts running because she's scared of whatever this person's going to do. And he decides to chase her. He decides to chase her full on sprint. And I didn't know how this was going to happen, like how this was going to end. Like, this man is literally chasing her and she's terrified for her life. And long story short, she's trying to call the cops because she's scared. She ends up getting to her place. She's calling the cops, and he decides to stop her by stabbing her with whatever he has. Like, you can't see it. He literally stabs her. It turns out it's a chicken skewer. He stops her and he's like shocked that she's calling the police on him. Like, she's terrified, but she ends up stopping and it's a misunderstanding. She tells him that she's locked out of her house because the door is stuck. And his response is to get a running start. I thought he was going to kick the door down. I really did. Like, when I saw him look at her door and get in position to like get a running start, I was fully 100% thinking he was going to run into that door. And she kept pleading with him, please don't. This is a rental. I will be facing damages. To my surprise, and I was very surprised, very happily surprised. He jumps over her wall and opens it from the inside very impressively. When they're saying their goodbyes, he is more offended that she doesn't, like, in his wording, it seemed to me he was very offended that she didn't recognize him. And then we get a flashback of like him running into her in the city, but she seems like tipsy, drunk, or some kind of thing. So he was very much offended that she didn't remember him. And he's basically, I thought it was a cute threat, but he's like, you're going to pay for your mistakes for basically not remembering who I was. And he goes off. He goes off and decides, because he has his chicken skewered, which is much more important. And it's actually a chicken skewer that his nephew loves from some place that's far away. I don't know. But that just shows you like the kind of parental person he is. He's very remembers details. He's very much an attentive parent, an attentive guardian for his nephew. And he's very strong. He's very athletic. And in episode 2, we are further proven that Mr. Son Jae-gyu is like this superhuman athlete, because the scenes we get are very impressive. The end of the episode has to deal with Miss Yoon having to schedule parent-teacher conferences, and she is terrified after that encounter to schedule it with Son Jae-gyu. And that being because her coworkers keep telling her like scary stories about him. And I feel, and obviously like it's exaggerated, but we haven't seen any of this. So one of the things that they showed was that he walks around with a goon squad, and they do show him walking around with like it looks like, call him a thug, but it's a group of men that look very uniformed. So of course it's gonna look like he's the like gang leader or a thug leader. But on top of that, they like tell her other scary things. And I love, this is the other scene I love, is that they tell them, oh, like they tell him, no, push back this parent-teacher conference to the end. You don't want to deal with it. And then she's like, yeah, you're right. And her coworker who has the spare key says, no, you should do it now so that you can get it out of the way. I thought you're very independent and strong person. I don't think like someone like him would push you, be like a pushover for you. And all the teachers like scooch in, some get like their popcorn. And it's a great scene because she's terrified to call him, and it just so happens and he's going like that rumor that he's a thug. They show you, and I thought it was like a fake I thought it was like a fake scene, but no, he is like walking around the town. I don't know what he was doing, and he walks into a restaurant and he's like, no, we want to eat. So yeah, he does walk around with this huge group looking like a thug leader, and she calls while the teachers are all waiting for her to like see if she can schedule an appointment with him. They're about to order, and he answers the phone and he's like, oh, it's your nephew's teacher. I was looking to see if we can schedule a parent teacher conference. And he immediately this is great. Immediately he's like, I'm coming over right now. All the teachers flip out and they start to run away. They're like, he's coming right now. Oh my freaking God. And the poor Miss Yoon, she's like, no, no, no. And he was like telling his like group, he's like, I gotta go, guys. We can't eat no more. Oh, it was such a great scene. And she's like, no, no, we're gonna schedule it. You'll come on Monday. How does that sound? And he sounded very like he's like, okay, Monday it is. Like, I guess I'll wait to see you later. That was one of the other scene that I really enjoyed because it shows from like the two characters how much he does care about his nephew. He's like, if you need me, I'm there. That's kind of the personality he is. He's like, if you need me, I'll be there. I'm not gonna like do anything if you need help. Like that kind of person. So it's kind of like showing you the audience how like people paint him to be a bad guy, but when you see what he really does, he's actually a really good person, a very attentive person, a very thoughtful and straightforward person, individual. So it makes you think like, what did he do? Because without this whole thing going on, there is a lawyer in Seoul who is actively searching for him because he was his bully and he wants to take him down. So it's like opposing viewpoints. It's like someone that is very nice and thoughtful and straightforward and not something you would expect someone to be. So we don't know. We don't know what's going on in this point. Episode 1 ending is the iconic scene where he is carrying this pot and it has like all this lettering on it. I'll show you right here. He's carrying this pot as a thank you and an apology for breaking the previous one. He brings it in and he's carrying this thing. This thing is massive and you can tell it's heavy. And he sits it down and he comes in that scene. He like doesn't really mind boundaries. I know in Korea they're very much like your space and my space, but he like sits down. He's like, I don't fit, and he pulls it away, and then he like pulls himself forward right in front of Miss Yoon's face. Like, I am here now. Talk to me. And I was like, no personal space. Got it. I love this. I love how forward he is. I don't think she loves it, but he's very impressive. And then it ends there. It ends with him convincing, like just saying her name. I'm gonna call you by your first name. Politeness aside, starting episode 2, I have to reiterate. I have to say there is a mantra that Miss Yoon tells herself every day, and it tells herself this mantra every. I'm assuming it's every day, and it's what keeps her grounded to her reality. I guess she wants to stay like distant. She wants to stay cold. She wants to not have to interact with anyone. So she tells her, you're not going to smile today. It's going to be an awful day. You're going to just go to work. You're not going to smile. You're not going to laugh. You're just going to work and go home. Which I should mention that I love that we were introduced to her by her saying this mantra, because the moment, like, she does show it, like she is this cold, distant, non-verbal character until our main lead enters the chat and we see him walking to the school in a snowstorm. And it's like she breaks her whole mantra and she starts talking to people. She's curious, she's asking questions, and everyone was like, who are you? Like, oh, you can talk? Like, I love how it's him that broke that spell. Like, that's how much, like, he didn't even have to say anything. Like, she's just that curious about him, and it just fed her for her true persona, because she's not this person. I think it's a good way to show that she was very much not caring, and now because of him, her old self is starting to come out. Because in episode 2, we start at the parent teacher conference and we go back to this. We go back to the sense that, like, she's not going to laugh or anything. And that's exactly what he does. He makes her laugh when he tells her, no, we're going to be on a first name basis now. And she laughs. And I think that is the first laugh that we have for the character that does not want to laugh. So once the parent teacher conference is over, basically the plant is an issue. So he brought that thank you plant. They tell her she needs to take it home because it's a disturbance in the classroom. And as she's taking it home, he drives into the school and sees her struggling. He's like, oh, what's happening? I bought you this plant. And she's like, I have to take it. It's a nuisance in the class. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. And he goes, like, the scene is, it takes 3 people to carry this potted plant. He legit just grabs it, picks it up, puts it on the back of his pickup truck and says, come on, get in. I'll take you home. Yes, sir. And I love this scene where she's trying to be not so obvious, I want to say. She's like just staring at him. He's driving and she is staring at his arms, at his chest, at his neck. And I'm like, yes, girl, we would all be doing that. And he notices and he's like, why are you checking me out? And she's like, no, I'm not. As he's driving her back to her place, he tells her, he's like, I'm disappointed that you don't remember me. And she's like, I've never met you before. And he's like, no, we've met before. You should remember, right? Like, he kind of still like is trying to make her remember. He doesn't want to obviously tell her when. They get to her place. He puts the plant on the roof. And again, we get a great scene of him just standing looking off into the distance while she checks out his profile again. And then he says, like, well, since I did all this for you, I would like to get coffee. And she's like, okay. And he's like, okay, let's go get coffee. And she's like, not right now. And she's like, okay, give me your number. Then we'll reschedule. And she's like, no, let's do coffee now. And he goes off and she's like, where is he walking off to? Apparently he walked all the way to the convenience store to get her iced coffee. While he's walking off, she has 2 phone calls. One is from her coworker, her fellow teacher. She is now in charge of the environmental club. They have a back and forth. Basically told that she has to do this. And in her frustration that she just hung up, lo and behold, it's her dad who calls her, and she picks up the phone. And we hear someone very sad and regretful on the line saying, I'm sorry. And she hangs up on him because she doesn't say anything. And we learn more that something must have happened to their relationship for someone to be very regretful, very sad to not have their daughter in their life. So in my opinion, they are a very much active parent, and something happened and they're very regretful. Ends up crying, and as she's like tearing up, Sung Jae Gyu is coming back and gives her the iced coffee and instant coffee so she has at home, and he looks at her, he's like, "You're crying." And he gives her a sweet, and he says a quote. Let me get the quote. "When you're feeling down, sweets are the best cure." And this is a quote that's going to be used throughout the film because that quote, immediately she remembers something. Like, it's familiar to her. It's not something she's like, I've heard that before. It just goes to show you how empathetic, like, he doesn't show it, but Sung Jae-gyu is very much a really good person. And I don't know why this lawyer man or CEO is trying to find him and take him down. The next part of episode 2 is now she is in charge of the environmental club. So Han Gyeol is Jae-gyun's nephew. And in the students there reveal that his uncle actually works at the power plant, and they say we should go on a field trip, and she's like, "No, we're not going to his power plant. I'll figure out another field trip, another power." So word gets back to him. Oh, another favorite scene is where we see Son Jae-gyu in full power plant mode, and it's another iconic scene. Like, he's just doing his thing, and he's working, and he's lifting solar panels by himself. I was like, you should go visit him, Miss Yoon. Apparently one of the students called him and told him, "Hey, we're trying to go to a power plant, and our teacher said no to yours, so we're going somewhere else." He immediately goes to the school and runs into our Miss Yoon and tells her, "Why is my power plant disqualified? Like, it's the closest, it's the more efficient one, and I personally can just take you." And she's like, I don't know. And in some funny way, he's able to corner her and say, like, "We can go this weekend." And she's like, "No, we can't. I'm a teacher and you're a parent." And she's like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess we can take my nephew." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'll pick you up on this day on the weekend." That's what happens. There is another side story where Han-gul's classmate gets into an argument with her parents, and she decides to run away. So as the day they're going to go visit his power plant, he gets a call that this friend is like leaving for Seoul. And right when they're about to leave for the power plant, he tells his uncle, "Can you pull aside? I need to go talk to my friend." They went on a, like, not a date, but like one-on-one hangout, because he's like, "Oh, do you want to do this? Do you want to go to a movie?" And to her, it was like, no, she's still kind of like not scared of him. She's uncomfortable with him. She doesn't know him enough, obviously. So she's like, "No, I would rather go somewhere where there's people," and there's a lot of people. So he takes her to a restaurant, and it looks like a date, but it's fine. She remembers that her favorite food, from what we saw with her dad's message, her favorite food is like this chicken noodle soup or chicken soup, and that's what she asked to order. And in this scene, the quote, he's like, "In my life, I may have lost this, and that, but I've never lost my appetite." And she's like, "Well, aren't you going to eat?" And he's like, "Okay." Turns out he's allergic to chicken, but he just didn't want to inconvenience her. And his explanation, he has like all these hives in the next scene. And girl, oh my God. This scene, I know they're trying to make it all like cute, but the scene is, so he's like, "If you were allergic to chicken, why did you eat it? You should hold me." And he's like, "No, because good food should be eaten together. And if I would have said that, you wouldn't eat it alone." And his response to her is just like, to her is just funny that's like, he would endure getting hives just for her to like be comfortable eating the chicken soup. And she laughs. Like she laughs and she laughs and she laughs and looks at him and she just belly laughs, which I guess like her walls, like you could see like her walls have fallen. Like she understands him more and she grabs the ointment and she's like, "Here, let me put more medicine on you." And she starts putting the ointment on over his body. And I love what the directors did. So Sung Jae-yu, when she's touching him on his face, like he can't, it's like too much. Like he's gripping his pants. He's like trying to withstand her touch. We all know what that means. Like this man is getting turned on. That's what it, so like this man is getting turned on. And I love the next scene is like he like lifts it, like he just gets up and starts like exercising, starts like moving around, and in a show of very much how strong this guy is, he goes around, grabs the bench that they're sitting on, and just pulls it up and starts lifting her like a dead, like a weight. Like he's like lifting up. He's like trying to trying to get rid of all these feelings that he was feeling. And he's like, once he seems settled, which he's no longer turned on, he tells her, "Never touch me ever again, please." Like that again. And he just like slathers the ointment all over his face. Yes, that was a great example of pretty much very attracted to her. Yeah, he couldn't control himself, so he had to work it off. And so finally, after that scene, they were parting ways, and they finally, so she's like, "I don't know where your nephew is." And they finally get a call, and he tells them, "I'm in Seoul. I've been following my friend. She keeps texting this guy." And they're like, "Okay, we're gonna go." And the story moves along quickly. We see them reach Seoul. We see they get to the train station, and they meet up with the nephew. The nephew says he lost his classmate. Her name is Sejin. I got it. Her name is Sejin. So they scramble to find her. Miss Yoon gets on the train, and she sees her get, like, she sees her in the subway station, get on the subway, so she follows, calls Jaegu and says, "Hey, we're on this train as the doors are closing." And he says, "Don't worry, I'll meet up with you in the next station." And she's like, "Okay." That's my same exact reaction. Okay. In an epic and amazing scene, he literally runs to the next station. And if you don't know, I've never been to Korea, but I've been to train stations in New York City. And going from one station to the next is pretty long. He was flying, and he also jumped. And he also jumped over protesters to get to the next station. He ends up running full speed, full send. And just when he thinks, like, I thought he didn't make it, like the doors are closing, and he literally in the nick of time fell in. I thought Miss Yoon was gonna like put her hand out and was like, "Stop the doors from closing." That's what I would have done, but I guess in Korea they follow the rules and they don't mess up. No, no. But he like literally falls in, and the scene wonderfully stops with the same pose that how Jae met our Miss Yoon in Seoul when she was like tipsy or drunk. And in that moment that he has her, um, it's just like her memory remembered. And I can't wait. Like, I am very much intrigued. I can't wait. So that's where it ends. So at the end of the day, I'm very much happy. So when I think of this 2 episodes, it's done enough that I'm very much intrigued. It's a very lighthearted K drama. I love the shenanigans. I love the side characters. There is a couple of like, I think so far they've done a good job of trying to show the audience key moments that you have to remember. but it's getting to a point where it's like there's a lot, so I may forget something. Now that the adults are in Seoul with the students, or like the nephew and Sejin, his classmate, it feels like those are tying now, because before I had to remember, okay, this is their relationship. He's very much protective of her. Maybe he wants a closer relationship. This is the nephew and his classmate. And then I'm like, okay, and then there's this lawyer guy. And I have to remember that he has a vendetta against our son Jae-gyu. And we also have to remember that the two leads have met before. We don't know in what aspect. Why was Jae-gul in Seoul? We did see a bit of why Miss Yoon ran away from Seoul, but overall, the first two episodes have been a good mix of action, drama, romance in a way. The two characters are learning who each other are, how each of them are taking being in this like forced proximity. I love forced proximity. I love when two characters just have to work together and further the plot, while I love how they start realizing that they do like each other, that this other person is someone that they can be with. So overall, Spring Fever has been keeping my attention. It's been a lot of fun. I love seeing the moments with our son Jae-gyu trying to convince Miss Yoon to just do things with him. I think that's the cutest thing ever. So yeah, I will be continuing to do these recaps until I finally finish the whole season. I'm not going to recap the whole season. I'm just going to give you my thoughts and opinions. I hope this drama doesn't fall off midway. I hope it keeps going, and I hope it keeps us entertained and the plot doesn't fall off. But so far, I am very enjoying it. So I can't wait for episodes 2 and 3 and 4 to release next week. All right. See you then.